Hi kids. So today we're going to be focusing on just being able to identify and find figurative language in a passage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through two passages with you and kind of highlight and really delve into being able to just identify. We're not talking about analyzing yet. We're going to get that into analyzing into our next assignment, okay? So what you're going to be doing with passage is you're going to read the passage and find examples of metaphors, similes, onomatopoeia, personification, oxymoron, and alliteration. Now you'll notice that out a few of the kinds that we're focusing on. So the ones that I left out, of course, were hyperbole, which is an exaggeration. I also left out idioms and puns. Okay. Um, So the reason I left those out is because most of them are a little bit easier to find and figure out. These six right here, yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. These six are probably the most difficult for students to be able to find, first of all, and then second of all, analyze. So what I'm going to be doing with you is I'm going to read the passage. I'm going to do number one for you. Okay, and I'll probably do number two as well. So that way you can kind of hear me going through and explaining. And then you will be doing numbers 3 through 10, which is seven passages on your own. Okay, I'll read them to you and then I'll pause and then I want you to go through and figure it out on your own. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So this is number one. So if you don't remember how to highlight, remember you have a highlight tool. Remember you have to double click into the passage, and then the highlight tool looks just like a highlighter. It's right next to your font size, bold, italic, underline, and you'll see it right there. And when you click on it, it comes up with the different colors that you can highlight using. Now pay close attention because metaphors are going to be red, similes will be yellow, onomatopoeias are going to be green, personification is going to be light blue, oxymorons are going to be this pink kind of magenta color, and alliteration is going to be dark blue. Definitions, you can always refer back to the PowerPoint and lesson from yesterday, but I also have them down below for you, and I'll be reviewing them as we move through the passage. All right, so just to begin by reading the story, the cell phone alarm on vibrate sounded like a jackhammer against Rachel's wooden nightstand. So what I would suggest doing is maybe going sentence by sentence here. So here we have the word like. Now remember, just because we see the word like doesn't automatically mean there's a simile there. But we do have to be comparing two things using like or as. So are we comparing two things here? Well, it looks like we're comparing the cell phone alarm to a jackhammer. So I'm going to go in and select that, and then I know that I need to, since it's a simile, I need to highlight it in yellow. Okay. So, next sentence. She opened her eyes to see the sun peering into her bedroom through the opening in the curtains. Well, automatically, I think I'm hearing some personification because the sun doesn't have eyes, so it can't like look into someone's bedroom. So, that sounds like personification to me because remember, personification is when you have a non-human object or thing being given human characteristics. All right, next sentence. Outside her window, there was a dull roar as the plow cleared the streets from the storm that had attacked her town through the night. Well, first of all, the words dull, roar. So dull usually means something that's soft or quiet, but a roar is something that's really loud. So we have two opposite things here. So what is that? That's called an oxymoron. When you have two things that are opposites describing each other, we know that that's an oxymoron. And then I thought I heard something else being given human characteristics. Well, storms can't really attack things, they just kind of happen, right? So that's going to be personification because attacking something is definitely like a human or creature characteristic. She looked outside to see the blanket of snow laying on top of her backyard. Well, is snow really a blanket? Well, no, it's not, but it sounds like the snow is being compared to a blanket, but it's not using like or as, so I know that this has to be a metaphor. So that's going to go into red, right? Um, Rachel hoped that this meant that she would be able to crawl back into her cozy, comfortable bed and curl up under the covers. Wow, I heard the sound k, k, a whole lot in that sentence. So what I'm gonna do, which of these definitely talks about the repetition of a sound? Well, I know alliteration means that we're repeating a consonant sound at the beginning of words. So I've got crawl, cozy, comfortable, curl up, and covers. Well, that definitely is repeating a sound at the beginning of a word. So I know alliteration is dark blue, so I'm going to select dark blue there. Okay. The radio's buzzing sound died down as she tuned it to the local radio station. Well, buzzing sound, buzz, that's definitely a sound word. So I know that that's probably onomatopoeia because onomatopoeias are using sound words as like descriptors or actions, like bam or clap or things like that. So last sentence, it says, it was like music to her ears when the radio announcer said, all schools are closed. Well, I see the word like in there, but remember, that's not enough. I have to be comparing two things. So are we comparing anything to music? Well, what is the it? The it is him saying that all schools are going to be closed. So this is, yeah, definitely a simile because she's comparing what the announcer says to music. And so a simile again is yellow. And so then that's all you have to do, okay? You're just highlighting and making sure that you can identify. So I'm gonna, then you just move on to your next passage, okay? So I'm gonna do number 2 with you, so you can kind of see how it works, okay? So like a detective, ooh, I hear that word like. Immediately I'm thinking simile, but I have to finish reading the sentence first. Like a detective, I searched the nursing home corridors until I saw him in a wheelchair by the open window. Well, am I comparing a detective to something? Well, it seems like I'm comparing a detective to the way that they're searching the nursing home corridors. So I definitely am comparing two things. Remember, double click to get into the text box. And I'm going to highlight this. Now, is it a metaphor or a simile? Well, I'm using like or as, so it's got to be a simile, right? So I'm going to highlight that in yellow. All right, continuing on. His eyes were pools of blue, staring out at the first rays of sunshine tiptoeing through the garden. Well, I think that there's probably two pieces of figurative language in here, right? So his eyes were pools of blue. Well, eyes can't be pools, can they? No, but it seems like we're comparing his eyes to like a blue pool. And it doesn't have like or as, so I know that it's got to be a metaphor. Now, the first rays of sunshine tiptoeing through the garden. Well, can sunshine tiptoe? No, because it doesn't have feet, right? So we're giving something human, toes, to something that's not human, sunshine. So we know that this is going to be personification. So if it's personification, I have to highlight it in light blue. All right, continuing on. I brushed my fingers through his snow-white hair and kissed his forehead. Hi, Grandpa, I said. Well, okay, so snow-white hair. So it's comparing his hair to snow. And we don't have like or as, so we know that therefore that has to be a metaphor. So this is going to be red. All right. There was a deafening silence as there was every morning. Well, there's a phrase in there that doesn't make sense. We have that word deafening and silence. Well, silence can't deafen anyone because silence is silent, right? So we know this has to be an oxymoron because we have two opposite words being used to describe each other. Okay. Time ticked by as I talked to him and told him about my week. Wow, I just heard the t sound a whole lot in that sentence. So I know time ticked, talked, told. That definitely sounds like I've got some alliteration going on, right? That repetition of sounds at the beginning of words. So I know that has to be dark blue for alliteration. But wait, I definitely heard something else in there. The time ticked. Tick is definitely a sound word, so wouldn't that be onomatopoeia as well? Yeah. So I'm gonna go in and highlight that in green because the tick, 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 tick is definitely a sound word, right? Okay. It was a one-sided conversation. I definitely have some opposites in there, don't I? Because a conversation is something that happens between two people, and one-sided would be saying anything. So a conversation being one-sided is for sure an oxymoron, so it definitely needs to be pink. So I often wished we had spoken more before he had poor health. Do I hear some opposites in there? We've got the words poor and health together. So health meaning that you're healthy, that you're well, and then poor being that you're not well. So we definitely do have two opposites there as well. So then our last sentence, I held his hand and hoped he knew I was there. Wow, I definitely heard some sounds in there. Held, hand, hoped, he. So the h sounds being repeated. So that again is alliteration, so that's going to be that dark blue color again. Okay. So as you can see, I've done the first two for you, and I've kind of talked you through each one. So what I'm going to ask that you do is you complete numbers 3 through 7. This is going to be due on Friday. Tomorrow you're going to have a review game, just being able to identify figurative language, just being able to identify it, right? So I'm not really concerned right now with you being able to explain it, but just being able to find it in a passage, because that's like the first step in our understanding of figurative language is figuring out where it is and making sure we know the definitions, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read the next one to you and kind of walk you through the steps again. And then you're going to be on your own reading the next one. So I would suggest reading these out loud. Okay. So number 3, Richard drummed his fingers on the arm of the chair, waiting for his name to be called. So think about that sentence. Do you hear anything? Do you sense any comparisons? And I apologize for my cat. You can hear him in the background. Next sentence. The whirring of the drills increased his anxiety, but he held his head high with a sort of cowardly courage. Right, so I'm going to give you a hint. There's 2 in here. Well, actually, no, there's 3 in here, okay? So be thinking about the sounds that you're hearing, and then also be paying attention to the word choices. All right, next sentence. Richard brushed and flossed his teeth like clockwork to avoid the wrath of the dentist's tools. So the news that he had 4 cavities certainly took him by surprise. He looked over to see the receptionist's poppy red hair peeking up from behind the high desk. When her voice called out his name, he felt like he was sinking in quicksand. A polite, sad smile came across his face as he stood up for his appointment. So pay attention to words that maybe sound like they don't belong, phrasing that definitely seems like it is not literal. Okay. and giving characteristics to things that are not human. Okay, so use what I've given you so far to correctly identify the remaining figurative language. Okay, remember, due on Friday. Good luck. If you have any questions, let me know.